Welcome to this evening's Millburn Township Planning Board meeting. In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, be advised that notice of this meeting was made by posting on the bulletin board at Town Hall and serving the officially designated newspapers a list of the meeting dates annually, indicating that this meeting would take place at the Millburn Board of Education Center building at 7:30 p.m. on March 18th, 2026. May I have a roll call, please?
Jonathan Baxter, Allison Canfield.
Here.
Michael Cohen, Jorge Mastropetro,
Here.
Deborah Neves,
Here.
Frank Saccomondi,
Here.
Michael Zion,
Here.
Vice Chair Srini Vijay,
Here.
Chair Gaston Happert,
Here.
Sergey Sibsto, Chris Heinrichs.
Here. Alrighty, looking at the agenda this evening, we have some minutes to approve, a single application to hear, and 2 ordinances to discuss and review for master plan consistency. And then finally, we'll end with a quick executive session still on the High Center for Living Judaism pending litigation. To begin with, did everybody get a chance to read the February 18th, 2026 meeting minutes, regular meeting minutes? Any questions or comments? I'll make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from February 18th, 2026. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Then we're on to the executive session meeting minutes for February 18th, 2026. Did everybody receive those and have you had a chance to review? Any questions, comments? I'll make a motion to approve the executive session meeting minutes for February 18th, 2026. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, next up are the application, and it's application number 26-003, preliminary and final minor site plan with associated variance RH, also known as Restoration Hardware, 1200 Morris Turnpike, block 5303, 5303, lot 1.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is John Wuchascala. I represent RH. It is my pleasure to be here this evening. As the chairman just indicated, we are talking about an application pertaining to the mall at Short Hills located at 1200 Morris Turnpike. The property is identified as block 5303, lot 1. And it is located in the township's B1 zone district. I know you're all familiar with the mall. RH has actually been a tenant, originally Restoration Hardware, it's now RH. They've been a tenant in this mall since dating back to the late 1990s. They've moved around to a few different tenant spaces. Current tenant space is where they are located, they will remain. And they are expanding within the mall space. They're actually taking some additional space from the Gap on the first level, which is next to them, as well as taking over space at the lower level, which was previously occupied by with Forever 21. Trying to remember the year, Forever 21. Reason we're here tonight, normally, interior renovations and so forth don't come before the board. But what we are proposing is a minor site plan to allow for a direct exterior entrance. And this is a portion of the mall really that's located off of JFK Parkway. When you come into the site, it actually is a wall that is probably one of the most bland aspects of the center. It's just a long brick wall. We've got Cheesecake Factory, and we're also fairly proximate to Italy. I've had the pleasure of coming before this board when Cheesecake Factory came in and they made their own entrance and they had some sign variance relief. And within the last year or two, I was here with Mr. Keller when Italy came in and provided their entrance as well. Although we weren't before this board, we were before the zoning board because we just had variance relief, interestingly similar to the variance relief we're seeking here this evening. We are excited about it. We think it's going to be a nice improvement, nice aesthetic improvement to this portion of the mall. It'll provide for direct access. It is not going to change operations. It's not going to change hours of operations. It's just going to be a direct access Of course, we're still gonna have direct interior access within the mall itself. I have two witnesses this evening, our project engineer and planner, Rich Keller. I'm gonna call him first. He's gonna run through, explain the nature of the limited site improvements that we're doing in this regard. And I also have Dan Pierce with Newer Architects. They provided the architectural design plans, which we'll also put up and run through and show you what we're doing here. So unless anybody has any other questions of me, I'd like to call our first witness.
Steve Pollock, just for 1 second for Steve to take care of some business.
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, predicate issue, always jurisdiction, so I always like to render my opinion on it. The notice was sufficient content and timely served, certified mail March 5th, published March 6th in the Star Ledger. Both of those dates being at least 10 days prior to this evening, so the board does have jurisdiction to hear and decide the application this evening, and I can swear in both your witnesses as well as both our professionals all in one fell swoop, as the legal term is. So if you'll raise your right hand, all of you, do you swear to God or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you all. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Very well, Mr. Keller.
Good evening, Richard Keller. I'm a licensed professional engineer and planner in the state of New Jersey, testifying with both hats on today. Just for the record, I hold a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering with a concentration in Water Resources and Environmental Engineering. That is from Rutgers University. I also hold a Master's in Engineering with a concentration in Urban Planning and Design, and that's from New Jersey Institute of Technology, where I'm also an adjunct professor with graduate and undergraduate students for approximately 11 years. I have created for this board, the Board of Adjustment, approximately 110 boards throughout the state of New Jersey. I've also offered professional engineering consulting services to the town of Long Hill, as well as the borough of Caldwell. I've also provided professional planning guidance to the Board of Adjustment in the borough of Caldwell as well. And those include our Exhibit Beck, renewed my license last week.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. You're acceptable as a planner and an engineer.
Thank you. You have the drawings that my firm prepared for you. Most of them are identical to that. I'll refer to that when I get to the one change drawing that's as a result of some of the comments from the DRC. I'll mark that, and otherwise I won't mark the others. The as was indicated, I'm going to go right to that sheet 2 that's in your set that was distributed. That is the overall survey sketch from 1/17/2026. As John said, we all know the mall living here in Millburn, Short Hills. Within the mall, Route 24 being on the bottom, John F. Kennedy Parkway trickling across the top or the north of the project. Fronting on the Route 24, you've got Nordstrom's, Neiman Marcus. As you come underneath, underneath the tunnel, you've got the at-grade entrance into both the mall as well as Legal Seafood, the steakhouse. You continue Macy's as you turn the corner. The area that we're concerned sits between Macy's and Bloomingdale's in the broader sense. As you come along Macy's, there's an entrance into the mall, and then immediately adjacent to that is the frontage for Cheesecake Factory, which, as John said, was also has an entrance directly onto the parking lot. And then there's about 220 feet of fairly banal brick wall with a couple of service entrances into it, leads into a trash compactor area that's hidden by a wall, and then you round the corner into the space that was originally Mercado, and they opened up the entrance onto the parking lot, and that's now Eataly, which was subject to a Board of Adjustment application for a similar sign variance to the one we need today. So that's where we're focusing on. If we go into our survey, which is a topographic survey of just that area, you can see that there's the parking, there's the entrance into the mall, there's the entrance into the Cheesecake Factory. Cheesecake Factory taking the westerly about 120 feet of 110 feet of facade. Right at the jog where the pavement widens out into a drop-off area, that is where we're proposing to bump out the facade. And I'll get into the particulars in a section. In addition to that area, by extending the curb line, This turnout was originally thought of as being an area for valet drop-off and pickup associated with Cheesecake Factory. That never was needed, never came to fruition, so it's never been used for that purpose. It is all signed the entire way through as no parking or fire zone. And there are a couple of service entrances into the back section of the mall. Between us and Cheesecake Factory, there is a door that goes into the back space, the kitchen area for Cheesecake Factory. So that's the existing area that we're going to be working in, basically where there's about 23 feet of backup from the spaces, about 23 feet measured perpendicularly, a little more than 23 in line with the spaces of all that double loaded parking that sits across the drive aisle. We're looking to essentially fill in that what was conceived as a valet drop off and pickup, and we're looking to curb that and redevelop that area that I'm referring to. As indicated, this would normally not need a site plan approval for the change of tenancy. What's interesting, as John said, is that we're doing this two-story addition. Now we're referring to, let me actually housekeeping. I'm on A1 now.
You can just describe it.
Yep, which would be dated today. A1 is the Mall at Short Hills grading and drainage plan. It's the sheet you have in your set at sheet number 4, except we've made some modifications per the reports and requests of your design professionals, both engineering and planning, and a result of some of the commentary that we received at the DRC. So I'll go through some of those changes as I introduce. Basically, a lot of it was showing some spot elevations, labeling some dimensions, clarifying some landscape material, calling out some specifications for the tree grades. So a lot of it is really kind of engineering details to making sure it gets built correctly, but it doesn't really change the overall plan. The plan is to basically bump out into that new sidewalk area a distance of 7 feet by 79 feet 4 inches. That's at the maximum. That is crenellated. So at some points we're popping in only 5 feet, some point 7 feet. Along that whole 79 foot 3 section, that represents a total of 472 square feet of increased building footprint. What's interesting is that is a 2-story addition where the first floor allows for a foyer and allows for windows and a little bit of visibility into that retail space. The second floor is actually just applied to the outside as an aesthetic treatment so that it really creates a more attractive presence and a more attractive livening about that facade. They are 2 stories, but one is going to be underground, but we won't see it. And the architect will show you, and I'll show you as well. So really the footprint, the increase in the footprint is 472 square feet across that frontage. There's no increase in impervious coverage because we're taking pavement, swapping it out for a combination of sidewalk and 473 square feet of building. There is no change to the utilities, there's no change to the lighting, there's no change to, we don't lose any parking or change any parking configuration. It's really just taking advantage of that valet drop off that's never been used and repurposing it to allow for RH to have a presence and their own entrance into the parking lot, similar to what was done, been done throughout the mall. Besides enlivening the mall, those facades, especially the most banal facade, which I think this one is, it also allows for a better brand recognition for some of the really high-end tenants that are attracted to this mall. RH being, I think, defined throughout the country as being a store that kind of exudes refined elegance, whether it's their flagship store in Manhattan or the art museum they repurposed in Boston, or their facility in West Palm Beach, or Manhasset. It's really about being understated. And I think that's what I'll talk about in signage as well. So besides all the details, I will show you, I'll introduce an exhibit that we did not prepare. This is A2 dated 3/18/26, prepared by Nor Architects. It is exterior rendering. It was not part of your package. I don't know, actually it was part of your package. I think this one has a slight, it's either part of your package. I'm not sure if you had the latest one that had a slight little change of material at the bottom. So I'll mark it just in case it may be in your package, but This is what I was referring to. So there's an underground floor that you'll see from inside the mall as you come in and you take a stair down or an elevator down. But this entire section across the top, above the second, between the top of the first floor and second floor, is really just applied architecture to the top. These are real windows. There's between a 5 and a 7 foot gap behind there where there will be vignettes of displayed furnishings, etc. But it's not like you window shop there. It's really meant to show, create a bigger presence on that wall, and really elegantly adorn what, again, nice brick detailing, but with overall 300 feet, and this section more than 225 feet of brick wall with some service doors. This really does sort of enliven it quite a bit. And besides the Juliet balconies, again, not occupiable, there is some decorative lighting, which is part of the signature lighting that RH uses throughout the country. There are trees on either side. They do call out for the possibility of some low planters, which have seasonal plantings in them. And these lightings are really just decorative. They provide a little more lighting down against the windows and against the ground. But it's really, there's surface parking lot in the parking lot that provides adequate light throughout. These just serve to really highlight the architecture. They're low and level, they're decorative and they're attractive. So the basically the signage is the only thing we need a variance from. The signage is well under the permissible square footage allowed by code. The signable facade, really we consider, since signs are not permitted above, we consider the signable facade of the first floor only, excluding all the glass. We take that, the signable area for the first floor, 874 feet. We've got signage that is detailed out as 22 inches high, where 24 inches is permitted. You'll notice one of the architect's drawings actually calls that as 2 foot 1 inch, but it would be less than either 24 or less. We think it'll be 22, but even if it was 24, the maximum permitted by ordinance, that square footage, you're actually allowed to take just the letters because it's pin mounted halo. But if you take the smallest rectangle around the RH, we're talking 6.7 square feet. So we are less than 0.8% of what's permitted. We're 20% is permitted. We're less than 1%. So if I was to take that RH and put it on the first floor, I could put 26 of them on the facade and still be less than the permitted signage by code. So really, it's an architectural element. If you look at any of the restoration hardware or RHs around the country, they generally get a very understated RH as high on the building as they can. It's sort of their symbol architecture, and we're looking to do that here. We think it's an elegantly composed facade, and we think that this can be approved under a CT variance. Again, the section that we need relief from is 60910D. 4D, that's where wall graphics may not extend above the second floor or roof line. And obviously we are not extending above the roof line, but we are literally in the second floor. We see this as a C2 variance, C2 being flexible C2 variance, where the plan with its non-conforming conditions represents a better planning alternative than a conforming plan. To do that, we must all still demonstrate that the purposes of the land use law are advanced through the plan with its deviations, and the positives outweigh the negatives. And when weighing the positives and negatives, case law allows that the net benefits of the project can be, with the project moving forward, can be balanced against the no build condition. So is the overall allowance to extend between 5 and 7 feet into the parking lot, not needing a variance, but with that RH, is that better than what exists today if we were to not build at all? And I would posit that clearly it does. And the purpose of the Land Use Act that it advances under 4055T2, Section I, and that is aesthetics. Aesthetics is a valid goal within zoning. We clearly think this is an aesthetic attractive treatment. It's a very costly treatment to actually put that much money into the facade when the upper portion really doesn't serve any functional use, and it still has full glass windows, nothing fake about it. It's a full-blown facade up there to really make that section of the building much more attractive. So we think it clearly advances aesthetics. We still need to always meet the negative criteria, and that's the no substantial detriment to public good, no substantial impairment to the intent of the master plan. I don't see any effect on the public. This sign actually, I would like it to be 36 inches because it's 325 feet away from JFK. And I think when people are coming to the mall, especially if they might use the outdoor entrance, it'd be nicer for them to see it from a distance. But that understated dimension and size is really consistent with their branding. And so they are not requesting a deviation from the signage size, but just the location. So we think there's no substantial detriment to public good. And certainly our master plan encourages us to make the most of our existing commercial spaces. The mall is one of the most important tenants or landowners within our community, obviously the largest taxpayer. People say, where are you from? They may not know where Milburn is. They may forget what Short Hills. When you say the Short Hills Mall, they go, oh, I know. So clearly, this is something that adds luster to the mall. One of the few malls in the country that is doing well, actually thriving. It's better in COVID than not. We think that this is an attractive solution to allowing RH to have a presence on the street, on the parking lot. We think it meets the criteria under C2 for approval of the variance. I did take a look at the planning comments as well as the engineering comments from the professionals. We basically have agreed that we will meet any of the requests that were in any of the requests in the engineering report. We will comply with a lot of that, providing some dimensions. We talked to Mr. Keller about some elevation differentials and why that occurred. I think that we're consistent with the architect work. The only thing is that on this easterly side, there was a section of pavement that we looked at possibly removing, but it's a dark section of the facade where the foundation planting are not doing well to begin with, so we'd like to leave it pavement, concrete, which it is now. And it also was very important that the trees be symmetrical around either side. And we didn't want to push that tree back because you start to lose that symmetry, and it was really important to RH. So I think we can comply with everything requested in the engineer's comments. And then with regard to the planner's comments, I think we've provided pretty much anything that was looked for within there. I'm happy to answer any questions. If Graham, I think we didn't miss something. The architect is available to discuss some of the durability of the materials. We are consistent with the landscape standards, it's like 513. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
A couple more things, Mr. Kelly, did you have the opportunity to review the March 12th referring to fire official?
Yep.
And we can comply with all those comments?
We can comply with that, and what we've done is, there is existing no parking fire lane signage throughout this area, and we highlighted that signage will go back in. The fire marshal's comments was signage and striping. There's no other fire zone striping throughout the mall anywhere. It's all signed. So what I would suggest is we'll meet with the fire department. If they want us to stripe out just in front of our section, obviously, where do you start and where do you stop? But if the fire marshal insists, then we'll do 2 foot of striping and we'll label it no parking fire zone. But throughout the rest of the mall, they have signs, and we propose to replace those signs, and that's enforceable that there be no parking in those areas.
And we also received a report from the Township Forester dated March 16, 2026, just regarding protection of a couple of trees. We'll comply with that as well. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And I also received the police department report, which I have no concern with respect to that.
Yeah, no substantive comments.
I think that covers all the reports.
Any questions from the board? Please, Mr. Keller, just a couple of questions for you. I thought I heard you, the first one was, I thought I heard you speak about a service entrance.
Yeah, currently there are a couple of doors on this facade that are shown on our survey. As you come down, we're talking in the center, right in the center where we're putting our addition, there's a door in, so that would be eliminated, and that goes into a back corridor. There is another service door where the curb becomes depressed. That is where some offloading for Cheesecake Factory occurs. So that will continue. We've basically taken that depressed curb and we've provided on our plan, we provided for a depressed curb section right opposite that door, so any drop-off of materials can still be brought up through that curb and into that door.
The only reason I ask is, I happen to traffic that area quite a lot because my kids love Cheesecake Factory, and traffic is, finding parking is tough, and traffic is also not very easy to sort of navigate there. So, any thoughts on sort of how this might change or affect the traffic patterns?
It won't change the traffic pattern at all, because we're not taking away any of the traveled aisle, the traveled road that comes down here. It's not being narrowed at all. We're just taking out that turnout area where people shouldn't be parked anyways. It's in the parking zone. There are some deliveries that occur to Cheesecake Factory once or twice a week. They're generally between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. in the morning. So that happens before the mall occurs. And they do tend to pull off in that area, offload, the truck goes away, and then that stuff is carted inside. So, but that again happens between 7 and 9. So that space will no longer be available, but that's an area at time when the mall is not occupied. This is not an area where employees are allowed to park. So they'll just double park, offload, and off they'll go.
I don't see sort of in the drawing, but where is the entrance, the exterior entrance gonna be?
So the entrance is going to be right where it says FF 203, right in the center. You can see there's two doors coming out. So that's the entrance into, across that 79-foot, exactly in the center of that almost 80-foot, so 40 foot are double doors. That was what was shown on either what you have in your packet or A2, and that's right in the center. These are the center panel are the doors.
Mr. Tuck, is that where deliveries also will be made to Restoration Hardware, or where is their loading?
There are larger loadings areas within the mall. They generally don't tend to come through the front door, but they will have some access to the side. That's an operational question. I know that they will still have back alley, back corridor access from the sides, but I don't know how they'll get their furniture delivered. But there are larger loading spaces within the mall. They can come in the mall prior to hours, so they can be delivered either one of three methods. Either through here, which I doubt, through the back hallway from the central loading dock, or through the entrance in the mall, but that would all occur before mall hours.
Question, with trees, how are those situated on the sidewalk? And actually before that, maybe, for this, this bump out to happen, the sidewalk is also being bumped out where it used to be the drop off area, right?
Correct.
How big is the sidewalk? Is it similar to the rest of the?
Yeah, it's exactly the same as the rest. Well, it's the same as the rest going up to Cheesecake Factory and up to the mall entrance. As you continue west, sidewalk actually gets smaller, but this is consistent with the larger section. So the sidewalk depth, as we move up at Cheesecake Factory, if I can find the 20 scale, there we go. At Cheesecake Factory, you've got 5.5, 6 feet of walk, and we will continue to have that same, actually 7 feet of walk coming across our facade. The trees are nestled into tree grates, so they're set back on either side. They're flanking the building, and they're slightly set back. And while the tree grates are walkable, they're a 4x4 tree grate, very similar to just to the west of the mall entrance in front of Macy's. There are at least 4 trees that are set in tree grates, although they are very narrow because we've only got the sidewalk is not so deep in there. But as it opens up across us, we were careful to take those 2 trees, set them in grades which can be walked on, and then push them back so they're not proud of the building. Roughly the center line of those tree grates lines up with the front of the facade. So that 2x2 grate comes about 2 feet into that 7 feet area, but still leaves. It still leaves, a good 5.5 feet to the grate, and you can walk on the grate, and we've chosen a type of tree that is columnar and high branch. So it will grow more up than out, and the branches can be maintained up high, so that it can be protected.
Last question. Are the windows, are they storefronts, or are you actually allowing natural light into the building?
They are not, there's transparency, so they are allowed light into the building, and I want you to see the activity in the building, and that's on both floors. So obviously you won't see people on the second floor, but you will see that 5 to 7 foot space that there'll be furnishings in, paintings in, so it looks as though like it's part of the display area down below. It just, you might, if you're paying attention, you get a little confused because you walk in, you think you're gonna go up to the second floor, you're actually gonna go down. But it's all natural glass, none of the spandrel glass, none of it reflective. It's it's one of the work things that's happened in some of our downtown retailers, is they put reflective glass up, and they use spandrel glass, where it should be regular glass. And that's not, Restoration Hardware is very much about using real materials and allowing real light to come into space.
Thank you. Any questions for our professionals?
I would have one, you mentioned the lights. Is there any uplight associated with those, or is it all down there?
I would have to refer to the
Why
architect.
don't we hold that for Dan? for a
Okay.
moment?
All right.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I think it's primarily down, but I'll let him talk.
Okay. I don't have anything else. They said they're gonna address my letter, so.
And likewise. Are there any questions from the public? Thank you, Mr. Keller.
Thank you.
And I'd like to call Dan Pierce. Mr. Pierce has been sworn, and Dan, I'll ask you to put a brief summary of your educational and professional background and licenses you hold.
Dan Pierce, I'm an associate and a student manager with NOR. My undergraduate degree was in the Bachelor's of Arts in Architecture, University of Miami in Ohio. I have a second Bachelor's of Architecture from the University of Arizona, a Master's of Architecture from the University of Arizona, and I'm licensed in the state of Ohio and have been for the last 13, 14 years. Been through countless sessions, 4 dozen or so, quite a few with RH, represented them in Nashville, Cleveland, Minneapolis, Columbus, all at similar, I think, areas.
Are you licensed in New Jersey?
I am not licensed in New Jersey.
Your office has an architect license in New Jersey
Correct.
who would be signing the plans, correct?
Correct, Anthony Raschuti wasn't able to make it today. He had another commitment. He is licensed in New Jersey, and he did stamp and sign the documents that were submitted for permit for each of the 2 such drawings that were submitted at the Short Hills Mall.
Did Mr. Raschuti prepare the renderings and or was he supervising, or what was his role?
Correct. He is the supervisor of the program. He is included in all of our staffing conversations. He oversees the production of the documents. He oversees the quality control of the documents, and he reviews each and every drawing before they then get submitted to the jurisdiction.
And your license in Ohio is in good standing?
Yes, sir.
And notwithstanding that it could be hearsay testimony, is his license in New Jersey in good standing?
Yes, it is.
It's legally okay.
Okay. And we'll accept your testimony as an architect.
Appreciate it. Mr. Keller did a great job explaining all the various requests, the scope of the project. The RH space, as he mentioned, is a 2-story space, a full 2-story improvement to the exterior facade for the mall. We are going in the 1st story and below. When you look at the renderings, it's a typical RH brand palette. They use a very warm but classic palette. You'll see there's only approximately 4 materials involved. You've got the glass, you've got aluminum framing of the window system and the Juliet balconies and the awning, which is their custom bronze color. You have the awning, which is a sunbrella beige, and then you have the exterior stucco system, which is a trowel applied finish. Since our last conversation, we did receive some feedback for the base material and substituting our trowel finish down to grade, knowing that there will be salt and other conditions in the winter that would be susceptible for damage from that salting material. We've gone with a natural limestone, it's a cast stone base. We have a product supplier out of Texas who does the majority of our bases for our cold weather climates across the country, recently installed in Ohio and Minneapolis. So it does stand up. We do apply a transparent sealer on the base as well to eliminate any water absorption of that material. But that's basically it. The lights that you see on the facade, those are decorative fixtures that are part of RH's catalog. They do get encased in a glass box. And there are lights on the second floor within the jam. There's a small uplight that gets getting to about 20% its capacity, and it goes up into the void underneath the awnings. So it just lights up that dark space, so that it doesn't seem like there's inactivity up there. And the same is true with the lower level. The lights are really low lumen light. It places itself 6 inches off the face of the door, which is recessed in that opening, and the light itself gets captured by the awning. So again, just lighting up the underside of the awning, bringing light and bringing color and warmth to it.
And Mr. Keller spoke to the glazing, et cetera. Can you just confirm, type of material that we're doing?
Exactly. All the glass that you see is transparent glazing. The first floor is transparent to the sales floor where all the associates are working, all the customers are shopping. The second floor, also glazing. It is a small space for full furnishings, but RH intends to use a lot of that for decorative artwork, tapestries, rugs, some planting. We do plan to fully condition that space and protect it. So there will be fire protection from the interior system, and it will maintain lighting for RH's and the mall's cadence for opening hours. So it will stay live and active and fresh with RH's merchandise solutions.
And you spoke also to the building materials, you described them. They are all reflected in the plans that have been submitted to the board, correct?
Correct. There was a material palette sheet in your package. It was updated since our initial submission with the inclusion of the cast images. There was a question about deliveries. Once RH originally merchandises their space, they don't typically accept large format deliveries. That product line essentially stays through the life of the gallery. If there are product line modifications, those are done off hours and cycled through the loading bay area of the mall. The only thing that they'd be receiving would be small UPS deliveries for, additional toilet paper or, swatch supplies for their material samples that they hand to clients. So very small scale deliveries.
Are there any questions from the board?
Yeah, I have a question here. So, first question, the extension doesn't go to the basement. The basement stay as it is.
Correct. The basement, all the interior square footage is within the current footprint of the building.
Okay, so I see in the basement that there is a service corridor, which I believe is the corridor for delivery, for the mall, for garbage, but I don't see access to that service corridor from your interior. So how you get access to the service corridor?
There is a mall and a landlord development package for renovations to the interior footprint of the building that they're submitting under a separate permit. That achieves the modifications to the landlord space to provide access to the adjacent tenants as well as RH. So it's not within our scope of work.
Is footprint.
Correct.
Okay. So, third question and last. So the recessed lights, the one that are upright, where are located in the plans?
I don't believe we have.
I see on the ceiling plans that, but I don't see in the picture.
So what we can show you, one of the example pages of the light fixtures, you do
So
see,
wait, before we do, is this full exactly as submitted or is this an exhibit?
this is as submitted, it is
Okay.
in your packet, this page, which does show the 22-inch RH sign. We are not doing ear face uplights, but we are doing the jam uplights. They're tough to see in here, but they nestle back beyond the face of the building. We're not currently showing them on our plan, but they'd be within the jam.
If you just
Between
explain what a jam is, just so. that
the face of the vertical pier where the glass is, and they do not go proud of the face of the building. They're recessed from the face by about 6 inches, so the can itself has a pretty tight spread for the light, and that spread goes up directly to the underside of
To the
that.
canopy.
Correct, to the
Okay.
underside of the can.
Okay.
Anyone else? Well, professionals have any comments, questions?
No question, just appreciate the change of the base. That was my comment to DRC for salt protection. So thanks for catching up.
Yeah, of course. Are there any questions from the public? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we have no further witnesses. It concludes our case. Thank you.
Thanks.
Very succinct, Lee, I
I was,
think,
no, I was commenting on how.
exactly. I didn't know whether you wanted to say more, Mr. Warner, but, yes, thank you. I think both of our witnesses, provided a very good overview of what's proposed here. We are proud of it. I think it's gonna be, we think it's gonna be an amazing improvement, to the mall and allow RH to grow in this space and, really provide a nice aesthetic through here. And appreciate everyone's time and consideration this evening.
Thank you very much. All right, time for discussion amongst the board. I'll just say that I do think it looks great. I don't think there are any downsides to it. It's not more access to the mall, right, direct access to RH. It's not gonna affect parking. They're complying with the fire code and whatever the fire chief has recommended. Like with our planner's comments. Yeah, I don't see a reason why not to approve it. Approve the variance for the sign. Yes.
The chair just drafted my resolution. But it's certainly a minor site plan approval, one bulk variance, C2 offered as the basis, and they put the chairs in. So, I'll assume if it's a motion to approve it with all the stipulated conditions, which were set forth in all of the respective professionals.
But I would like to make a motion to approve. Motion to approve. Have a second? I'll second. Roll call vote, please.
Allison Canfield,
Yes.
Jorge Macri Petro,
Yes.
Deborah Nevas,
Yes.
Frank Sacamandi,
Yes.
Michael Zion,
Yes.
Vice Chair Srini Vijay,
Yes.
Chair Gaston Hopper,
Yes.
Chris Heinrichs.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening. Appreciate it.
Know that you need for the next 2 items, if you want me to say.
Comments on the ordinance? Good. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yep. I'll see you. Couple weeks.
See you whenever the next meeting is.
April 15th.
Oh, that's right. If we get another application.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Something will pop up in the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
Saw the one in Montana.
Cross my legs now.
Hey,
There's been issues. Not something down there.
Present
Good
question.
night, everyone.
I'm commenting
Right.
And they are fine.
Well, wait, it's only Wednesday.
We're all joking.
All right, on to our next order of business. We have two ordinances up for master plan consistency review. The first ordinance is ordinance 2735-26. Proposed ordinance to amend the township of Milburn development regulations and zoning ordinance medical uses. Fran, would you like to go through memo or take us through the ordinance?
Happy to. Good evening, members of the board, Graham Pedo, your planner, township planner. The ordinances before you this evening are both products of the zoning code examination committee. Following introduction by the township committee, these ordinances are here for determination of consistency with the township master plan. In accordance with the municipal land use law, the governing body may adopt ordinances that regulate the use of lands and buildings prior to adoption. NJSA 40:5D-64 requires that the governing body refer the ordinances over here to the planning board for review and determination whether the ordinance is consistent with the master plan. The first ordinance that we will discuss this evening is related to medical uses. The ordinance as drafted modernizes the definitional standards for medical uses and also creates clarity and distinction between different types of medical uses. I've provided a summary in section 2, which I'll walk through quickly. There's a number of items here, but I'll touch on them briefly. So first, letter A, it amends the ordinance, amends the definition for ambulatory surgical facilities to clarify that the use pertains to entities that provide surgical services to outpatients and no overnight accommodations may take place at these facilities. Number 2, or B, amends the definition of medical office to clarify that the use serves outpatients only, no major medical procedures take place, no emergency or urgent care services take place, and defines which ancillary services are also included within that use. C, it amends the definition of retail sales to include massage and spa services. Previously, massage and spa services did not have a clear location, and sometimes they're construed or interpreted to be medical uses. So now by including those as retail services, they're more appropriately located outside of the medical definition. Item D adds a definition of urgent care and defines the use as a facility where patients are treated and depart on the same day. E adds ambulatory surgical facilities and urgent care to have the same loading requirements as a hospital. F adds minimum parking requirements for ambulatory surgical facilities, medical professional offices, and urgent care. G, it adds ambulatory surgical facilities and urgent care as permitted principal uses in the highway business B2B, B2A, B2B, B2C zones, office research OR1, OR2 zones, and adds urgent care as permitted principal use in the CMO zone as well. And finally, letter H, it clarifies that the urgent care shall not be combined with multi-family housing development within the CMO zone, but those uses cannot be co-located on one site. As it relates to the master plan, the ordinance advances the following objectives and recommendations of the master plan that we have identified. Goal 1, objective 1.01, to protect the character of the established residential neighborhoods and encourage land use and development in an appropriate scale and density and location. 2, promote clear, user-friendly, and transparent application review and hearing processes for development proposals and applications so as to ensure an effective and well-publicized mechanism for residents to report quality of life issues and code violations. And 3, review all of the non-residential zones to determine which are most appropriate for medical offices outside of the CMO zone, which this ordinance advances as well. Finally, the planning board shall make and transmit to the township committee a report identifying any provisions in the proposed ordinance that are inconsistent with the master plan, and may also make any other recommendations regarding these inconsistencies or any other matters as the board deems appropriate. Have to answer any questions that anyone has, or any other items regarding the ordinance.
I do have a quick question, just the definition again of spa, because that word is used broadly. I think we talked about it. Can you just, again, just read that definition?
Reiterate as far as, so I can read, I'll refer to the proposed ordinance. So essentially it's 301, I'm in the ordinance text itself, section 1 of the ordinance text, ERZ section 301, words of grace defined. The retail service definition is amended, it's 301.4 to now include massage and spa services. So I'll read the ordinance definition in total, that kind of gives you the global sense. Retail services are establishments primarily engaged in providing services involving the care of a person or his or her personal goods or apparel, such as laundry, cleaning, garment services, photographic portrait studios, beauty and barber shops, massage and spa services, which has been added, and shoe repair shops. Retail services shall not include establishments primarily engaged in the sale of products or merchandise, including food or drink to the public. Retail services shall not include those uses defined under medical office as defined in this. Wanted to create that clear distinction.
Thank you.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, if the board is amenable and concurs with Mr. Peto's not inconsistent opinion, we do have our usual resolution finding that this particular ordinance is not inconsistent with the master plan, so you can go right to adopting same. And that would be constitute the report back to the governing body so they can proceed with second reading and public hearing on the ordinance.
I just, one more question. Is there a definition of massage?
There is not, but in this case, it often refers back to the definitional standards that are set forth in New Jersey Administrative Code, where there is a definition for massage and spa services, and the licensing therein that's also required.
Okay, and with the the ambulatory surgical facilities,
Yes.
is there anything in there about, you know, ambulances themselves? Whether they would be bringing patients, picking up, using sirens and
So we have a provision in the definitional standard as well. I'll read the definition in its entirety to help you. So it's 301.6, the definition for ambulatory surgical facility now reads, it's proposed to read, any distinct and independent entity that operates exclusively to provide surgical services to patients on an outpatient pre-scheduled basis. Such facility shall not provide overnight accommodations. All patients shall be discharged on the same calendar day as admission and in no event later than midnight. Patients' arrival by ambulance is permitted only in compliance with the definition of basic life support on emergency as set forth in the New Jersey Administrative Code. Ambulatory surgical facilities do not include licensed facilities, hospitals under also the New Jersey Administrative Code. So it needs to be only, ambulatory transport is only allowed under this basic life support condition. You can't have routine ambulatory arrivals.
Okay, so does that preclude the use of like a siren because it's non-life threatening? So there's no reason to think that they could turn the sirens on.
Yeah, so, right, exactly. So if it's scheduled through basic life support, non-emergency conditions, correct. Now, I can't tell you that if there is an actual emergency, and if the patient needs to be transported to a higher level facility, that they would not use sirens, you know, in an emergent situation.
Okay, but on a regular basis.
But on a regular basis, correct. Patient arrival by ambulance is only permitted under this non-emergency condition.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any need for further discussion? All right, knowing that, I will make a motion to find this ordinance 2735-26 not inconsistent with the master plan, and also make a motion to approve the resolution as Steve has stated. Do I have a second? Second. Roll call vote, please.
Allison Canfield,
Yes.
Jorge Mastro Petro,
Yes.
Deborah Nevas,
Yes.
Frank Sacamandi,
Yes.
Michael Zion,
Yes.
Vice Chair Srini Vijay,
Yes.
Chair Gaston Haber,
Yes.
Chris Heinrichs.
Yes.
Motion passes. On to ordinance 2736-26, also here for master plan consistency review. The ordinance will amend the township's development regulations and zoning ordinance for use definitions.
Sure.
Again, can you please take us through it?
Absolutely. So once again, you know, this ordinance again is here on the same jurisdictional basis as I just discussed in the prior. The governing body refers these ordinances here for master plan consistency review. As part of a step back, the zoning code examination committee, as part of our work, did a comprehensive audit in looking at all of the permitted uses within each zone district and identified several gaps as far as not having a corresponding defined term for these permitted uses. This was first identified because the zoning officer was presented with the use case and did not have a corresponding definition as to how that use was defined, and despite it being a permitted use within the zone. So we went through a process to go through each zone district in detail, identify those permitted uses that did not have a corresponding definition, and then presented that definition appropriately. In addition, we also identified that we had several uses that were defined permitted principal uses, but did not have a corresponding parking requirement as well. So we've also incorporated that now as well. So we should have a full comprehensive set of ordinance here following adoption of this ordinance. I'll walk through each of the proposed changes that are listed in section 2 of my memo. Forgive me, there's 18 of them, but I'll try and go quickly. And then I'll talk about consistency. So first, as I mentioned, it adds and updates definitions for several uses that were previously undefined. The first is that we've added a definition for brew pub, which permits manufacturing of alcoholic beverages on site and allows a restaurant use immediately adjoining the brew pub. Second, we've added a definition for co-working or shared workspaces. We've added a definition for cultural center, which permits presentations, performances, and instruction of cultural, artistic, or educational activities. We've added a definition for drive-up or drive-through windows and defines it as a portion of a building that allows customers to remain in their vehicles. We've added a definition for leasing, sales, or management office, which permits an area that is located within a residential or mixed-use building that is used for operations associated with such development. We've added a definition for maintenance, trash, and recycling areas, which is discussed within the ordinance. We added a definition for mixed-use development to clarify what that is configured of as a building with 2 or more permitted principal uses with shared parking. We've added a definition for museum. We've updated the definition of office to include reference to co-working or shared workspaces. Now that we have a definition for such. We've added the definition of radio antenna or satellite receiving station, residential and non-residential, and clarified it as a structure used to permit signals. Wireless telecommunications are not permitted in residential zones, but are permitted. And then we've removed the definition of recycling area and amended that to now include refuse or solid waste enclosure, which is discussed at length in the ordinance. We've added the definition of residential amenity space to define what that means and clarified that it is a shared common area for residents in mixed use or multifamily development. We've added the definition for scientific or research facilities and clarifies it as a space devoted to research, experimentation, or product development or testing. That's actually the use case that was lacking a definition, but just for the benefit of everyone here. We've added a definition for sustainable building and site design features. And this is important because it relates to section 531, which is the checklist item which requires sustainable building and design features for applications here to the board. We've added a definition for warehouse, which we previously did not have defined, a definition for wholesale business, and we've added parking requirements for all of these corresponding uses that did not have such parking requirements: brew pubs, museums, cultural center, co-working or shared workspaces, light assembly, or manufacturing wholesale business. So a number of changes, I'll say. With respect to the master plan, the ordinance advances the following objectives and recommendations. Goal 1, objective 1.01, to promote, protect the characteristics of residential neighborhoods and encourage land use and development and appropriate scale and density. Goal 1, objective 1.02, promote the appropriate mix of development in downtown and other commercial areas. Goal 3, objective 3.01, provide for the continuing educational and cultural needs of the community, including recognition of the role of Papermill Playhouse, Cora Hartshorn Arboretum, Greenwood Gardens, Melbourne Library, and other art cultural related institutions. Now that we have a definition for such use, helps to advance those opportunities. Goal 4, objective 4.01, promoting opportunities for high quality retail and commercial activity in all business districts. Goal 4, objective 4.03, leverage opportunities for new commercial development or redevelopment of existing properties where appropriate. Now that we have further defined uses, we can allow for new uses. Goal 6, develop and implement strategies to address townwide sustainability and resiliency and to adapt to global climate change. This is advanced through better definitional terms around refuse and waste storage management. Goal 6, objective 6.01, require private development to incorporate sustainable design practices that control runoff, improve streetscapes, increase energy efficiency, and preserve open space and greenways. We do that through now formally defining sustainable design features. Goal 6, objective 6.11, adopt green building ordinances. And finally, the last one, the master plan recommends that the ordinances promote clear, user-friendly, and transparent application, review, and public hearing processes for development proposals and applications so as to ensure an effective and well-publicized mechanism for residents for quality of life issues and code violations. by presenting all of these terms in clear definitional standards. And once again, the board shall make and transmit to the township committee a report identifying any provisions in the proposed ordinance that are inconsistent with the master plan, and may also make any additional recommendations as needed. Any questions? Happy to answer.
Just a quick question on
Sure.
A1, the definition of BUPA.
Yes.
I think if you're manufacturing alcoholic beverages, you cannot, you cannot sell food at the same, can you make and sell food at the same premise?
So with respect, it depends on the licensing type. I believe it is precluded, but that's set by the New Jersey Alcohol and Beverage Control Commission, not by the municipal ordinance. And in fact, the definitional term, I believe that we've included here does make reference to, I'll just read the first sentence. The definition for brew pub reads as follows: an establishment operating under a restricted brewery license as defined by the New Jersey Division of Alcohol Beverage Control, which permits the manufacture of alcoholic beverages in limited quantities for consumption on the premises of a space holding a plenary retail consumption license. So it's very narrowly defined and in accordance with the state provisions.
For it's, museum is defined for the preservation of historical objects, which means if an art museum wanted to come in, there would not be, this would not apply for.
It's a
an
great
art
question.
museum.
Let me take a look. The full definition, that was kind of a little bit shorthand. The full definition for museum reads: a building or portion thereof open to the public use for the exhibition and preservation of objects of educational, scientific, cultural, or artistic interest. A museum may include accessory retail sales, cafes, classrooms, and other offices, customarily incidental.
So that was just.
It was a little bit
modified for
shorthand,
this
yeah,
year.
it
Okay.
didn't include the
Okay.
preservation of objects of education,
Okay.
educational, scientific, historic, cultural, or artistic interest. Questions?
No questions? Any discussion?
Same resolution, different ordinance number.
I will make a motion to find ordinance 2736-26 not inconsistent with the master plan, and also to adopt the resolution as Steve has stated. Do I have a second?
We're all raising. Pick one of us.
All right, and roll call vote, please.
Allison Canfield,
Yes.
Jorge Mastro Petro,
Yes.
Deborah Nevas,
Yes.
Frank Sakamandu,
Yes.
Michael Zion,
Yes.
Vice Chair Srini Vijay,
Yes.
Chair Gaston Happer,
Yes.
Chris Heinrichs.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Alrighty, next up is the executive session for pending litigation case number 225 CD 17318 SDW-AMEI Center for Living Judaism Incorporated versus Township of Milburn, New Jersey, and Township of Milburn, New Jersey Planning Board. Steve, can you please tee us up?
Certainly.
Do we need to?
Not yet.
Yep, almost. Before we go, one programming note. After we go into executive session and come out of executive session, we're just gonna make a motion to adjourn the meeting. There'll be no formal action taken and really no further business once we come back other than to move to adjourn. So there need not be a reason, in my opinion, to come back on remotely. That said, the resolution, half of which is what the chair just said, that is the subject matter of the resolution. It is one of the exceptions to the Open Public Meetings Act under Section 7 for pending litigation. And it's anticipated that the deliberations conducted in the closed session may be disclosed to the public upon determination by the board that the public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality, and the resolution would be effective immediately. We should put a motion second and a quick roll call vote to go into closed session.
I'll make the motion. Do I have a second? Second. Roll call vote, please.
Allison Canfield,
Yes.
Jorge Mastro Petro,
Yes.
Deborah Nevas,
Yes.
Frank Sakamandu,
Yes.
Michael Zion,
Yes.
Vice Chair Srini Vijay,
Yes.
Chair Gaston Happer,
Yes.
Chris Heinrichs.
Yeah.